legislature would require the state education department to put together new guidelines that districts would have to follow by September 2025. New York, like other states, has seen reading proficiency scores dip after the pandemic closed schools and forced classes online. Last year, data show fewer than half of third-grade students in New York read at proficient levels in state tests. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Make you look better.
Turn it down. Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to the fastest moving hour in radio. This is the Lawrence County Republican Show, and I want to welcome you to listen to Mr. Lawrence Sutton as he brings us and enlightens us this evening. And wow, what a cup! Look at the cup, Lawrence.
That's Christmas.
Sutton.
That's Christmas gift.
I
there.
didn't get one. I've got the bottle of water here, but I want to welcome you in, Lawrence. My name is Brandon Taylor. I'm the chairman of the Lawrence County Republican Party, and Lawrence Sutton is the secretary of the Lawrence County Republican Party. And in the studio with us, our good friend, Mr. Travis Coswell, and he is the county commissioner for District 7 in Lawrence County. Welcome, gentlemen.
What's going on, buddy?
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm just like you guys. I'm coming in here sideways on two wheels to get to talk politics, but it's always fun to be amongst my friends, and I can't wait to hear what's going on with our county commissioners. Travis, I'm glad you want to join us tonight, and we'll kind of let you kick the football down the field if you want to. What's going on with our county commissioners in Lawrence County?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise to anybody, but solid waste.
Solid waste
is a big deal right now. So we can dive into that as little or as much as y'all want to.
Well, you know what? I will tell you this. I mean, since we're dealing with solid waste, I mean, do you think they could stack it that high?
You know,
I'm not going to say what the word is. But
did you watch last week's show? Because I have it on recording that Lawrence Sutton voted Democrat, and
one time.
I think he said multiple times.
No,
and
I did not. Don't lie.
We've been cropping it down, and so we've got truth just coming out of Lawrence left and right. So the truth hurts, but anyway, we're kidding around with him. But yeah, we have been keeping up with the issue of solid waste in Lawrence County. And, you know, we started off a few months ago when we started hearing the rumor was coming out, hey, the rate's going to be doubled. We knew it was going to go up. We've watched this. We actually had a town hall. The Republican Party of Lawrence County had a town hall, and you were there, and a lot of other commissioners that were able to be there. David Morgan actually fielded some questions. County commissioners took questions, and I thought it was productive and very well very respectfully done there at the courthouse. So as it stands right now, I mean, bring us up to date on the events. Because honestly, I didn't know it was going to turn into, I think it snowballed, in my opinion. I mean, what do you think, Travis?
Well, what do you mean by snowballed?
Well, I thought it was going to be, I'm just being real, okay? And we're raw here. I thought it was going to be, okay, well, the rate's gone up. We're just going to have to come in and probably double the rate, and that'll be it. But it seems like there's been other options brought to the table. And at the time when I first found out, I didn't know they were going to have to rebid the actual contract. So a lot of just different things started to just kind of gather in, and it got a little bigger and a little bigger as time went on.
Yep. Well, yes, and thank you for pointing out that we have been talking about this for several months. And
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Had a town hall that y'all put on, which was great, by the way. And that's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy is some people that are screaming the loudest saying, oh, this is done behind closed doors and everything. We've been talking about this for months. And open meetings that are advertised in the paper and on, wherever else, radio and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you don't make the effort to come and listen, there's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
But, yeah, as far as snowballed, I mean, this and I'm going to be reiterating a lot of things that the county executive has said, but this thing was kind of kicked down the road for 21 years, and compounded on top of that, we had the cost doubled starting basically August 1st.
And then we also have 30% of the people not paying their fees as well.
That's true. That is very true. So, I'm learning as much as I can about this stuff. There's so many facets to for one, there's so many facets to county government, period. It's crazy. But then even when you dive into each individual subject, like solid waste, man, there's so many different facets.
Right.
Areas that need improvement, things that haven't been going right or need to be going right or whatever. I mean, you can chase a million rabbits, as you seen in that last meeting we had. You can chase a million rabbits on one subject, but Go ahead. You got something to say?
No. I was just going to say the one thing that I've noticed, and I, like you said, if you haven't come to learn about this, it's your fault because the meetings are open, friendly type meetings.
For the most part.
For the most part,
It's friendly to the public, but sometimes the commissioners can get a
Well,
little-
yes, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is that people we have a nice area where people can sit. It's not like people are not welcomed. And you guys even encourage it. To me, what you guys have done, even with the solid waste, you've opened up the book and go, look, here's what it is. It's not like our county is making money off of the waste fees. As a matter of fact, it's what we used to call a loss leader.
Yep.
You're actually losing money each year.
Absolutely.
And in order to keep our county clean and nice. So, I mean, nobody wants to pay more fees.
I understand that.
Okay? I mean, I get it. I understand people being disappointed. But you know what? It comes down to this. We have had record amount of inflation. And, I kind of blame Brandon for that because of the president he voted for. But, we've had record amount of inflation. And guess what? The inflation is going to hit sooner or later in government services even. And so I just want to say that I've appreciated watching how you guys have handled this. I don't know at the end if I'm going to agree with what you do, but that's okay because you know what? I had a voice.
Yep.
I've had a voice. Anybody could have a voice, and I've got to see the process worked out.
Yeah, the vast majority of commissioners are more than willing to listen to you. If you'll reach out to them. Listen, if I tried to reach out to everybody in my district, Lord, I'd be, it would take years.
And there were several. I'm just going to say this: we have got several of you guys that are very conservative, and I just want to say thank you for what you guys are doing.
Amen.
I appreciate that.
And you're one of them. We appreciate you. What you're doing is a very thankless job. People only call you when they want to complain. So I want to say it publicly. First off and foremost, before we start complaining to you, tongue in cheek, what we really appreciate what you do. I even appreciate it. The ones that I don't agree with, I even appreciate them being willing because a lot of people will complain and they're not willing to get involved. So, and I don't agree with some of them. And so I'm going to spin off into something, okay? And I'm about to go there. And for everyone that's listening to the show, this is unscripted. And if they don't believe it, then you're welcome to come on the show and find out just how unscripted it really is.
Yeah.
But I think that gives it a true feeling when we come in here and sit down. Of course, we know each other. We've been to some of the same meetings. But one of the things I want to say is I was surprised at the last meeting at the administrative office, and I believe it was whenever they were talking to the budget committee about the solid waste, and it was started to be talked about out loud. Let's put this on the property taxes.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I will never agree to that.
Right. Same way.
And even though we're not talking about a large sum of money, and I know there are people who are on fixed incomes, but realistically, at the end of the day, $100 over the course of a year is probably not going to change their world. Okay, it's not going to make it easier, but it's not going to change their world. But I do not want to see this fee go on to property taxes. And part of that was, and you mentioned it, Lawrence, which was another surprise to me when we first started talking about it, was 29%, literally 29% of the residents in this county, Lawrence County, do not pay their solid waste fees. So those two statements alone have been, again, I'm adding to the snowball. I thought, this is not going to be a big deal. We're just going to talk about solid waste and move along.
Well, I want to add.
I want steal a piece of paper.
Yeah, absolutely, you
You
can.
get me off on that way. I can
So
go back on things before I forget my.
I want to add to this too, and I'm going to tell you why I'm opposed to the property tax. Is because
You're a landowner? Sorry.
Yes. But from my understanding, the amount of property that is owned to residents is about 38%. Am I correct on
Yes,
that
sir.
number? So I fundamentally have a problem with 40% paying for the other 60%.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's where my biggest problem is that I don't think the 40% should have to pay for the 60% and they get scot-free.
Yep.
So whether it's because we own property or not, I mean the property is not the issue.
Yep.
It's like I have fundamentally a problem with the $54 I've been paying each year, and now I know that you say 29%, I round, 30% are not paying their share. And if they've been paying their share, we might not be hitting with as much of a rate increase. Correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but when you guys are dealing with the solid waste and it's being moved out, we were being charged what, $35 a ton?
I think, something like that, 35, 38.
Okay, so we're being charged this amount of tonnage. And when you guys you've kept this rate the same for 21 years, I don't know of anything other than maybe a TV or a cell phone that is the same price or cheaper 21 years ago. And we've kept the rates that way for 21 years. And now that we've had our rates, you guys actually went out and you shopped and got rates. And there are some communities that are paying $75 a tonnage. And you guys, from what the last I've heard, okay, you guys have got it down to 62.
Yeah, between 62 and 63, somewhere right in there.
Okay. And you originally thought you were going to have to pay at least 65, and then we're going to get a rate increase again this January even.
Possibly,
So you guys have done a good job negotiating. Obviously I'd like to get back to 35 again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that day will ever.
I don't know that day will ever happen either, unless we hit deflation.
Yep.
But at least you guys are working on this, and this is what I want the people to understand, because I had somebody at the community center last night, Brandon, complain to me that their bill has doubled. And I'm like, I haven't got a bill yet. I said, I don't think they've sent the bill out yet. I said, I think this is just what you've heard. And then he's like, well, yeah, no, maybe I hadn't got the bill yet. So, people, we need to be informed. The more informed we are, I think the mess that we're in the country is because we have kept ourselves uninformed and we haven't done anything about it. And I'll tell this on Brandon, then I'll shut up. But
Thank you. Just shut up now.
Because I'm not done with my thought.
I was going to tell one on me. Just go ahead and stop.
But at least you guys are out doing this job that is thankless, is hard, and you're not doing it for money. And because of the transparency that we have here in Lawrence County, it's not like you guys are even doing it to try to get some money on the back end some way.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw that out there. Now I'm shut up.
There is the old adage, all politicians are padding their pockets. So I haven't found that game. Not that I would do it if I found it, but
right.
If that was the case, then I wouldn't work about 3 or 4 different businesses on the side. I wouldn't be delivering gun safes. I can promise you that.
Right.
So I'm definitely not padding my pockets with government dollars. And there's several different. In that whole intro, there's several different things we can unpack, but going all the way back to starting with Brandon, the putting it on the property tax. Let's clarify. That wasn't all of us talking about that.
No way.
I
was going to clarify that.
The one guy that was talking about that, he's a great guy. I love him to death, and it really I was kind of flabbergasted that he was bringing that up. I've never heard him talk like that before, but I think the vast majority of the commissioners that were in there, our jaws were on the floor when that was brought up, because, and I even said this out loud. I don't know how many people could hear me. I know the people around me could hear me, but and by the way, that room was full of commissioners, but there was more people from the public in that room. It
was a public meeting.
It was a very public meeting. These public meetings happen. You can absolutely come to them as long as you act right. Don't come in there acting crazy. But the property taxes, 38% of the residents own property in the town. So I even said out loud when he proposed that. And listen, it's an easier.
It'd be a lot easier for you guys.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't pay your property taxes, after like 3 or 4 years, they'll come take your property.
And not to mention, if you roll it into property taxes, most people have no idea. That's why you got people saying, oh, we don't pay no solid waste in Giles County. Yeah, you do. You're paying it on your property taxes. You just don't know it. So it is an easier fix.
Yeah.
But it's not the right fix, right? I mean, 38%, if you make 38% of the county pay for the other
62.
that's wealth distribution. And I said that in that
Absolutely.
meeting. I said, I am not for wealth distribution. This is something we don't need to do. So, and I think that's not going to fly. Even the county executive said, listen, I'm not putting this on the taxpayers. And when we say it's been kicked down the road for 21 years, that's what they've been doing. The downfall has been coming out of the general fund, which is property taxes, and they're just moving it over. And that's not right. So, I mean, it should have been fixed a long time ago. But here we are, and I've told several people. I think I even mentioned this in the meeting. I'm like, look, this is the right thing to do, and if they vote me out, I don't care. I don't, it's not that I don't care what people think, but I'm not in there to worry about getting reelected. I mean, what's right is right. Let's do what's right. And hey, if you want to boot me out, boot me out. I don't care. But yeah, no. So starting off with that, it wasn't all of us.
Well, I will say I won't throw people directly under the bus, but I'll say I believe I heard about 3 talking about how great it would be if it were on there. And I was thanking a couple of you guys as we were coming out of there. I was thanking you, and I was thanking Philip Heatherly and Barry Luffman for actually speaking up in that meeting immediately. I know you 3 for sure were speaking up, saying no way, this is not going to happen. And I thanked you guys because if we didn't have good conservative people elected, this would happen.
Yeah. Oh, it could happen very easily.
People don't need to be standing there with their acting like this is not going to be something that would be real, because they absolutely would do this. They talked about how easy it would be, it would get paid, and they want to say, well, 38% on property in the county. Well, I want to throw a number out here, and I'm going to give Chris Stutz, good friend of mine, Chris Stutz. A lot of you know him. Chris said this. We were on the phone after that meeting. We talked, and he said, "Yeah, but I wonder, out of that 38% of landowners, what percentage of those are the voters in this county? They're the voters. So
I'd probably say 80% are the
politician. Beware. We show up and we vote because it matters to us." So, they can throw that number out there and say, it's only 38%. So, okay. But I promise you, they don't make up 38% of the voting population. Absolutely. So, I want to go back and let you keep rolling on that, because I can tell you're on a roll.
Yeah. I bet. Who knows how this is going to turn out at the end? I don't know. When I'm speaking from the cup.
Well, it's only live. Take your time.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. But
take your time, but hurry up.
There's been a bunch of people screaming who really don't know what they're talking about. And hey, I'm not going to lie. I've probably done that in my life before.
Oh, we all have.
The older I get, I'm like, hey, boy, you need
Lawrence definitely has.
You need to pay attention a little bit before you start commenting. But I learned during the sheriff's race, the first time I ever got involved politically was in John Mayer's 2018 campaign.
Okay.
And they were people that were screaming, different things, just not liking him, not liking the campaign or whatever. I'm not saying if you don't like him, that's fine, whatever. But the people that were being the loudest, we started doing a little bit of digging on them, and come to find out they've never voted. Some of them probably can't vote because there's something in their past.
Exactly.
Like so, it's like you said, and I'm not putting it on the property owners because they're voters. I'm just not putting it on property owners because it's not right.
That's right.
It's redistribution of wealth.
That's it.
I guess I didn't put my phone on silent at times. My bad. I'm usually pretty good at that.
We done talked the sheriff up. Now he's calling.
Yeah. John's calling. Yeah.
Don't worry, Sheriff. We still like you over here.
But as far as being informed, it's national and state politics. It's kind of hard to stay Yes, you can stay informed, but it's not with local politics. Listen, you can show up to a meeting in the afternoon.
That's right.
Anybody can.
You can.
That's right.
And say, well, I just don't have time. Do I have time? I mean, I work 3 or 4 different jobs.
That's
I got 3 kids that all play ball. You make time for what's important to you.
Can you repeat that again?
You make time for what's important.
Amen.
So, you can absolutely show up and pay attention and know what's going on in local politics. And, hey, listen, I worried for years, and I tell you what got me involved in the very first sheriff's campaign is I was sitting at a men's conference at Marshall Baptist Church, and there was a guy there speaking. He was a Marine Corps general. I can't remember his name. General Boykin, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, he was saying, hey, you guys, you gripe about national politics, what's going on the national stage, who's the president and all that stuff. He said, has any one of you ever volunteered in a local election? And they got silent for a little while. He said, you realize, you don't have a whole lot of pull on the national level or state level, but you can make a difference in a local
Absolutely.
election.
50 votes matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was like God smacked me right then, and that's when that whole campaign started off with John Myers, and I ended up liking him and said, hey, I'm just going to get behind this guy for the first time. So then I realized you can make a difference in local elections. You absolutely can.
Yes.
So, hey, if you want to get involved, it's easy to get involved in local local decisions.
Yeah. You know, I do want to bring up this point too, though, when talking about the property taxes and everything, is that I know David Morgan is against it as well. You know, putting it on
Sure
the
he
property tax.
He said that out loud.
Oh, he's told me this, but I just, you know, since we're talking about some of the commissioners and everything, I just wanted to make sure that people know that David is against it as well.
Sure.
Yeah. And listen, you know, I got respect for every commissioner in that room. We don't always agree, which is fine. My thing is, I just want to know that, even as a commissioner, that you've done your research on the topic. If we don't agree, that's fine. But, you know,
How is it that we can do research on things, and the other people supposedly say they do the research on some things, and we come to two totally different views? I wonder how that works, or do we use maybe our research is skewed based upon what we want?
both.
Well, I mean, we don't want property taxes. Why? Because we're landowners. But if we didn't own property, we would probably say, and I don't think I would be this way, but people would say, well, put it on the property owners, make them pay it. And because let's just be honest, there's a little bit of their point of view.
Right.
And, you don't hear them say it. Let's put it on the people who are renting apartments.
Yep.
Well, there'd be a total outcry.
Oh,
Why not?
absolutely.
Well, what's the same difference? It's the same thing.
So I'm going, and I mean, I'm saying obvious things here, but even on the property owners, the ones that own the properties that are being rented out, if they're going to have to pay this fee, guess what?
Your rent's going up.
Your rent's going up. You're going to pay this one way or the other.
Sure.
So even if you are renting and you do not have a property here in Lawrence County, trust me, you're not going to get off scot-free.
And then you know what comes after that? When we need to build government housing because the rent's so expensive.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, we need to raise property taxes to build government houses because the rent's so expensive. So it's
a snowball.
It just perpetuates itself.
Let me clarify one thing just for the record real quick, though. But even if you are renting, if that power bill is in your name, you're getting a solid waste bill.
That's correct.
If the power bill is in the owner's name, then he gets that solid waste bill, but he's going to jack your rent.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be like I said. It's going to be paid one way or the other.
And so let's get down to where we're at, because we're talking about things that were brought up, but what was actually voted in? I'm going to let you explain what was actually voted in.
Okay, so the solid waste fee for years has been $54.
Right.
It actually was higher than that in the early 2000s. Then they came in and lowered it or something, which is really surprising because usually the wheels of government never turn backwards. But I don't know if that was a political stunt I have no idea. For somebody to get reelected or something, I have no idea. But for 21 years, evidently, it's been $54. And so last night we voted. There's two different facets of it. You got your residential rates and your commercial rates. Right? Residential is pretty cut and dry. I mean, it is what it is. As far as the commercial rates, we've found several problems in the billing. People not being charged for the right size dumpsters or whatever and stuff like that. So that's a problem that needs to be fixed. So what I proposed, and several of them went with, said, hey, we had already sent out the commercial bills in October or November, I think, for this following year. So we've got time on that to fix that. And my thing was, hey, let's not raise both rates and then fix the problems on the commercial side, because then, for instance, somebody's paying $100 and they should have been paying $500 all along. Then we double the rates. It looks like they're going from $100 to $200, which isn't terrible, that business.
Right.
But then we fix the problem and find out that they should have been paying $500. Then they went from $100 to $1,000.
Yep.
So I said, hey, let's raise the resident. We know what we need to raise the residential rate to, roughly.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and raise that residential rate. Everybody's going to get mad about it. Let's go ahead and do it now. But with the commercial rates, let's fix the problems first, and then we can find out, do we need to double it, or can we actually just do it 50% since how we've been missing out on all this money all along? We may make up some of that ground there and not have to raise the commercial rates as high.
And I'm going to tell you something. Brandon and I, we were discussing this, and we were talking about, that the commercial guys are getting a seems like a sweetheart deal, even maybe compared to the residents, and, we'll just raise it. But to me, you go from $100 a year to $500 a year on some of these businesses. That's huge. It's going to be a big deal to some of the businesses.
This community is built on small business, and
it absolutely
small
is.
businesses are struggling right now. Our costs have went up.
That's
Just
right.
I mean, I can remember 2020 or whatever sitting there, or coming around 2021 and looking at the spreadsheets, and it's like, right, we got to raise our prices.
Right.
Right.
You know, I mean, our cost of all went up. We haven't raised our prices, so all of a sudden that margin's getting smaller and smaller. You know, it's the same across the board. And not everything in government you can look at as business, but I think coming from a business mindset, it sure helps.
So I have a question here. When you guys have factored in what you're thinking about charging the residents, or is this done? Is it?
The residents is done. We voted on that and we passed that. It's gone from 54 to 102.
Okay, 54 to 102.
Yes.
Did you guys factor in that rate with the 30% that's not paying?
Yes. Now, that's another problem that has to be fixed. Now,
Yes.
we can dive into that for.
Yes, I'd like to dive into
we
that.
can dive into it for a whole hour if you want to know.
Yeah.
But essentially, okay, the state mandates that we have to provide solid waste disposal.
Right.
Right. Now,
Have to.
have
By
to.
law.
By law, has to be provided.
Yes.
The state does not allow us really any teeth into making somebody pay that bill. So, you know,
We need to talk to Kip Capley.
well, okay. So evidently I called, Clay Doggett is my representative.
Yeah,
I
okay.
called Clay and I are good friends. Called Clay and said, hey, look, dude, you know, and hey, when I called him and started telling him about this, he said, we don't even pay a solid waste fee in Giles County. I said, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
But anyway, that's beside the point.
It's probably on his property taxes. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Anyway, I said, excuse me, I don't know if this is radio worthy or not. I said, hey, this is bull crap.
No, this is real. I mean, that's what we want. We done got you tickled talking about Clay.
yeah,
over
I
here.
mean,
I called him and I said, hey, this is bull crap. The state makes us have this, and they give us no way of enforcing it.
Right.
Because you can't run over there and take somebody to jail for not paying a $50, you know.
Sounds like the government, doesn't it?
Yeah. And he's like, and it was kind of news to him. So he said, let me do some research. I'll get back with you. Well, when he gets back with me, he says, hey, Kip carried a bill, last legislation that was designed for Wayne County to help them with this very issue. And evidently another commissioner had already been talking to Kip about it. I said, okay, I'll let them handle it and whatever. So I talked to that commissioner, and he said, and this had been talked about before, you know, evidently it is legal to put a lien on someone's property if they don't pay that bill. Well, let's like I said, there's a million different facets to this. So
right.
anyway, if they don't pay that bill, 30% of the county doesn't pay that bill. Only 38% of the people own property.
You can't get them all.
For one, there's a good chance that the majority of those 30% not paying don't own the property.
Right.
That's correct.
You know?
That's correct.
Okay, so they don't care if you put a lien on it. Two, if you put a lien on the property, the only thing it does is
Hurt the
money.
property. You're hurting the property owner at that point, especially
Well-
if he's not the one that's living there. He's
True.
renting it.
But even if they are the one living there and they own the property and they're not paying the bill, all that lien does is when you sell, if you ever sell the property, then you're going to get that money. There's a lien on it, but it's not
Right.
like, you know, they're going to come take your property from you because you got a $54 lien on it, you know?
Right.
So we've been, you know, we've had a billing company sending out bills, or not a billing company, a collections company trying to collect those, and it's just a nightmare. So anyway, when I talk, you know, being able to put a lien on somebody's property isn't good enough.
Right.
Essentially. So I called Clay back when I found this out maybe a week ago. I said, all right, dude, here's what they're doing, and it ain't going to work, you know? And he's like, all right, dude, I'm going to get on this, and we'll see what we can do. You know, I don't know. We've talked about several different things, the legalities of it, we're not sure, but tying it to maybe tags, where when you go pay your tag, if that ain't paid up, you know, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but we are exploring.
I wonder how many people then even own a car. I mean, I know it would be a lot more than 38%, but you still wouldn't get everybody on a car probably.
Why can't we post their names in public if they didn't pay?
I think that, don't quote me on this, I think they do. I need to find out about that. But listen, I can promise you, as far as the delinquent taxes, there's been people on there for freaking years that don't care. You know, so
that's true.
and there's some of them ain't going. But I agree. Hey, post it, make it public.
But it doesn't cost anything to post it.
That's true. That's very true. I
And-
think they do, but I'll find out for sure.
I mean, when you've got a portion of 30% of the population here, and we're talking about so there's three of us in this room. We know people. We may not know that they don't pay, but we know people that are not paying this.
Yep.
And so it's a big deal.
I'm praying that my wife has paid it every time it's coming because she handles the bill. So I pray to God if it comes out, it don't say that Travis Caldwell ain't paid his bill. If that's the case, I'll go pay double. Whatever I gotta do. I actually had that come out. You know, they put out that delinquent property tax list every year, and I always check it just to make sure because I'm always nervous. You know, I mean, I get bills and I pay all my bills, I think, but well, come to find out, I had a side business that I sold back in February that I co-owned with a friend of mine. We started it 5 years ago. It was a very successful business. Loved doing everything. It's just we kept having kids and getting into other things.
Sure.
Anyway, Sure enough, I'm just reading through it and I see, boom, Middle Tennessee Soft Wash dash Travis Caldwell. Doesn't have my buddy's name on it. The half owner has my name on it. I'm like, what the crap is this?
He paid his part.
No. That wasn't it. So I'm like, it's like $60. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I called. I'm like, I know everybody in the
can't believe you
courthouse.
wouldn't pay $60.
Yeah, I know,
that's
right?
ridiculous.
That's terrible. One of them greedy politicians, you know. But anyway, so I called down there, and I mean, I started calling everybody. I might have even called the sheriff. I don't know. I'm calling. I'm like, my God, my name's on this freaking list. You should have called me. I called Brady. I called all of them. Tell me about it. And they're like, we didn't see your name on the list. You know, well, come to find out what it was. I moved houses.
They were looking for their name, not yours.
That's right. That's right. So I moved houses in 2021, and you know, you worked for the Postal Service. I thought all that crap got forwarded to my new house. Well, somehow that one bill, which was a personal property tax on a business that I had, which was only like actually a $11 tax for the year.
Right.
But when they started compounding that,
Oh yeah.
it was being sent to my old address.
Okay.
You know, but all the other taxes and crap have been sent to my new one. So I come down there and I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. You know?
Right.
So I went down there. Actually, I wasn't even there. I was out of town when I seen it, and I called Brady. I said, "Go down there and pay this stupid thing right now." And I'll pay you back. You know, so I had the property assessor go down and pay my tax bill for me.
He's calling Brady Hutton, the property assessor. Go pay that for me. Huh? That's funny.
That's nuts, man.
That's a good story. But yeah, I think it would help with a 30%.
Yeah, it might. Yeah.
So where we are right now, we're looking at 102, and we're going to reassess the county commissioners, I'm assuming, or is this the solid waste committee going to reassess the commercial rate?
I think it will be a conglomeration of most of the commissioners.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's things I've been working on. I'm not on the solid waste committee, but there's things I've been working on for the past few months that have to do with it. And I know some others are working on different areas, but, you know, not that the solid waste committee couldn't do it, but it's just like, hey, here's a big problem in front of us all. You know, we need to roll up our sleeves and get it done.
So when is this bill coming out?
That one should have been mailed out on January 1st, so it may be in your mail right now. I don't know. What's the day? The 2nd?
It was a kind of an urgent meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had,
Today's the 3rd.
Yeah, days.
Well, we
third.
pushed off. See, they normally build it. Man, I'm telling you, there's so many rabbit holes we can chase. They normally build it, I want to say in
November. Yeah, we typically got it in November.
right before Christmas. Well, October's when we found out that our rate was doubling.
Right.
And that's really what sounded the alarms like, crap, we got to do something. So first order of business is we put it out for bid to see if we can get any better pricing on it. Mm-hmm. And we did end up coming, you know, saving or getting a little better pricing on it. But then we moved the billing back from November to January to give us time to, because the bids hadn't come in yet. The bids didn't come in until December.
Right.
And that was just the start of the process of the whole.
Correct.
You know,
Correct. Because you got to negotiate at that point once you get the
Which
bids.
is actually, that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could chase down, but I didn't know that. I'm used to bidding jobs in construction, but a government proposal is different where it leaves room for negotiations. Normally it's not that way. But anyway, that's a whole nother, you know, side story. But anyway, so we pushed it back to January. Said, hey, you know, let's find out a little bit more what we're looking at before we send these next year's bills out. Well, they were going to have to bill them out on January 1st, so that's why, you know, we got in there and in between Christmas and New Year's, which I'm not going to lie, was a little surprising for me. I thought we were going to bill them out later in January and halftime, but they said, hey, let's get this thing done. So we come together. We had that big meeting that several people from the public were at, you know, and hashed it out, and we came to the conclusion that, hey, we would go ahead and raise these residential rates right now, hold off on the commercial rates till we find out exactly what we need to do.
And I was there, and that was your idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some may not agree with that, you know, they're like, oh, he's trying to, you know, first place is hitting the citizen. Well, the residential's cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, here's the way I always say it. If you like that idea, Travis Caldwell came up with it. If you don't, Lawrence Sutton came up with it.
There we go.
I'm actually kidding. No, you came up with that. You actually brought that in there, and I mean, you were very transparent in that meeting, and I appreciate the way you went in there and stood
It's
up.
going to cost me more.
Right.
You know, but
Right.
it's right.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, I'm not in your district, but I really feel like you're standing up for your constituents, and I'll say that. Maybe they don't know you personally. They ought to get to know you because you're really down to earth. You're a good
Easy
guy,
to talk
family
to.
man, easy to talk to. You're a veteran. You served your country. And we appreciate.
And he's a Florida boy.
Are you Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. Polk County, baby.
We came from the same place. We were born in the same hospital.
Yep, born in the same hospital.
Yep.
Y'all were switched at birth.
No, he's at least 20 years younger than me.
Can I take 4 minutes to tell you a small world story about Polk County?
Yeah, let's go.
And by the way, talking about if you're in my district, I do send an email out to several people in the district. If you're in my district and you want to get that email, I don't blow your inbox up. I send you one every couple months when something big's going on to get your thoughts.
What's your email address so they can email you?
It's my last name first and my first name, caldwellstravis@gmail.com. Or just call me. My number's out there on the website. Call me. Talk to me for a little bit. If you're crazy, I'm not going to add you. But, no, I'm just kidding.
Don't add Lawrence.
But no, I mean, hey, if you want to know what's going on and every now and then give me your opinion on hey, if you're in my district. But anyway, I started college when I got out of the Marine Corps 2010, Columbia State. Did my 2 years, and I was transferring to MTSU for my last 2 years. So I'm supposed to go up there and meet my advisor. I'm trying to make this 4 minutes or less. I don't know what time it is. Okay,
it don't matter.
Yeah,
we got the door locked. They can't turn us off.
This is one of the craziest small world.
Yeah, we got our producer right there too. So
it's one of the craziest small world stories you ever hear. I promise you. So I'm going to MTSU for my last 2 years. So I've got to go up and meet my advisor to set up my classes. Mm-hmm. Never met the guy before. His name was Dr. Downs. I walk in the first time, walk into his office, and he's got Auburn football stuff everywhere. And I walk in with, if somebody already hates me on the radio, you're about to hate me anymore, my Florida Gators shirt on.
Yeah, that's
I bleed blue and orange. I love my Florida Gators.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I walk in, he turns around. He says, Travis, yeah. He said, man, I like your shirt. And right then it dawned on me. I was like, why does he like my shirt with even big Auburn guy, But I was nervous. I didn't ask him. Well, fast forward about 6 months, he was not only my advisor, he was my professor in several classes, and this dude bleeds Auburn football. Mm-hmm. And I never had asked him, so I was sitting in his office just taking it easy one day, and I said, hey, I got to ask you, the first time I come in here, you said you liked my Gator shirt. Why'd you say that? He said, man, I'm from Florida originally. I said, oh, what part? And he said, oh, it's a little town called Auburndale. I said, dude, I'm from Auburndale. Right? Oh, it gets crazy, dude. Hold on. Hang tight with me. So he said, of course, he's about 45 years old, and then I was 25, 4-ish, 5-ish, something like that. He said, do you remember where you lived at in Auburn? I said, well, I was 7 when we moved, but, I can remember certain things. I said, I remember at one end of the main road was a meat market, and the other end was a JR's bar. He said, dude, you lived off of Berkeley Road. That's Berkeley's meat market. I said, that's right. That's right. Berkeley's meat. Yeah, that's
Berkeley Road, yeah. Oh,
He said, I lived off of Berkeley Road. He said, you don't remember the name of your road, do you? I said, no. I said, but when you're going down about halfway in between the bar and the meat market, you hang a right on a little road that dead ends into a lake.
Yeah.
And he said, Drexel Boulevard? I said, yeah, that's the road he said, dude, I grew up on Drexel Boulevard. Now, listen, we're getting Florida's huge now, but then it was small town.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Cattle farms and, hey, orange groves, all that crap. So anyway, dude, it's starting to get freaking weird
Mickey
now.
Mouse.
Already, yeah. So anyway, he said, man, you don't have any idea what your address was, do you? I said, no, I don't. He said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to get on this Post-it note. He's sitting down at his desk, and I'm standing up behind him. He said, I'm going to write on this Post-it note my address on Drexel Boulevard. He said, I want you to call your daddy and see what your address was. So I called Dad, put him on speakerphone. Hey, Dad, what was our address in Florida? And he rattled it off, whatever it was, 2265 Drexel Boulevard. And that guy just went, oh, my God. We grew up in the same stinking house in Auburndale, Florida.
Oh,
and
my
he ended up
goodness.
my academic advisor in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So even he called his mom and dad right then. He's like, listen, this dude grew up in the same house. So they moved out of Auburndale in 88.
Right.
And
you guys bought the house.
That's when my parents bought it. I was born in 88. So his mom, she's on speakerphone. She's like, yeah, we passed a couple one time that bought our house, and they had a little boy who was probably 5 or 6 years old, and the wife was pregnant. And I was like, that was me, dude. That's my older brother with my mama. So now, every time we go, hey, that only took 3 minutes. But every time I go down there, I'll take a picture and send it to him. And when he goes down there, he takes pictures and says, hey, man, there's our old house. Is that not insane that we grew up in the same
It is. What's even more insane?
So both of you guys are from Polk County?
Yeah, boy.
And his mom is good friends with Barbara, my first cousin.
Yeah,
She's actually come out to church with us a couple of times.
That's funny. You guys are funny. I've got a nickname for Lawrence on here.
Yeah.
Because, I started telling him, I said, you're about like a Yankee, And so if you've moved here from up north, I'm not mad at you. It's not that trying to be that way. But Lawrence was like, I'm from Florida. I'm Florida, man. I mean, he went on and on. So finally I just said, okay, I've got a nickname for you. I'm going to start calling you Orlando. Oh. So I think I'm in here with Orlando and Miami.
He's just pissed because of his name. His initials is LBGT.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go, Brandon. He's just mad at the world. Okay? I mean, he can't help it.
I understand. But hey, Polk County, man, Sheriff Grady Judd.
I love Grady.
Lord have mercy, what a sheriff.
I'm going to tell you something. This is funny. Grady actually arrested my dad for fighting chickens when he was young.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he's even... He don't.
I know Grady. I knew Grady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of the reason I still got property in Florida is because of Grady Judd. I know I got good property and it's going to be well protected because I tell you, Grady, I feel like I have two of the best sheriffs in the nation between Grady Judd and John Myers.
And if people don't know who Grady Judd is, just go on YouTube and just type in Grady Judd and prepare yourself.
You'll be there for an hour.
Because he's got a lot of stuff online, really.
These two thugs did this, and this, and we shot them as many times as we could.
Yeah, we just shot them. Everybody's okay. We shot them.
I'll make this story short, but one of the funniest things you ever did is that we had two deputies and a dog that were shot and killed. They were ambushed. Mm-hmm. Guy ran. Mm-hmm. Grady Judd went hunting for him. Mm-hmm. Found him. The guy, tried to get the guy to give up. The guy didn't give up. He come out and starts blazing shooting, and there's like 10 sheriffs there with guns.
Yep.
Well, they shot back.
Yeah.
He got shot 80 times.
Mm-hmm.
So the news media was going nuts. The parents of this guy were like, they didn't need to kill my baby like that. They shot him 80 times. And the guy asked Grady a question. He goes, do you realize that you shot this guy, your deputies, 80 times? What do you have to say for that? He goes, why did you shoot him 80 times? He said, it'd have been more, but we ran out of ammo.
That's Grady.
So, go look him up. If you're listening to this show, you will, especially if you love a constitutional sheriff, you'll love Grady Judd. So,
Absolutely.
And we thank God for John Myers. He's a constitutional sheriff here in this county. And so now we're going to see the solid waste fee is going to go up. When do you think the new commercial rate will come out?
I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Because
okay.
There's several problems that we.
So you guys have already doubled their rates?
The commercials?
Yeah.
No.
They haven't touched them.
No, we want to find out the problems with it first.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fix the problems first, and then we'll raise the rate to
Technically, the residential rate right now is more than the commercial rate.
Yeah.
Is that correct? It's $100?
For some people, no. I mean, there's no even commercial rate. You get. That's one of the problems. You get billed for how big of a dumpster you have.
Oh, okay.
Well, come to find out, some commercial properties are getting billed for little roll-away trash cans when they had huge dumpsters.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So we got to fix that facet of there. And there's some other facets that need to be fixed too. That's not the only one.
That makes sense. Okay. So I'm just.
So they're actually going to get charged a usage fee then.
Yes, it's not going to be weighed because that's a whole other facet.
I know.
But you've already commercially they bill for how big of a dumpster you have. It's kind of a usage fee.
Yeah.
But it's just not been correct.
Okay, it needs to be updated.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's just part of this process, which is going to have to be updated. I have heard about rumor of Waste Management wanting to put a dump in this area from the state level. I've heard this.
Yeah,
I think that is a bad idea.
It is.
That's weird, though, because from what I'm hearing from everybody in that business is that the state is not granting any time in the near future any Class 1 landfills.
I'm not at liberty to say, but I heard the same thing from a very reliable source.
Heard what I just said, or that they are wanting to put one in?
They are wanting to put one here.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, I'm not at liberty to say, but he has told me this.
Yeah.
And he said it is being looked at.
And we don't need that in this area. We don't want that in our drinking water.
No.
We don't even have municipal water supplied to all the residents in this county. No. So if your well were to be some type of contaminated, you could be in real trouble. So we don't even need to entertain that idea at this point. And I think the worst part about a waste management dump site is once you give them that property or they start utilizing that property for that, they'll start trucking trash in here from other counties.
That's right.
That's what people don't think about.
They make money off that trash coming in.
It's right. So it's not like, oh, well, we're just going to save the $102 per year. No, that's not true. What's going to happen is they're going to make money off your landfill site by bringing other counties' trash here and dumping here and we'll be a dump site for other counties.
One thing we got to keep in mind, and I think there's enough new commissioners and some of the older ones too that realize this, that we can't just fix it right now. You know, we've got to be looking, because garbage ain't going away, boys. I mean,
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
So.
It's going to be there when she's got kids.
Sure.
And, you know, so I mean, we really have got to be looking. I mean, we had to focus all our attention on this right now and fix the bleeding. But we got to really look to the future and find out what's the best option for our county moving forward, whether 5 years, 10 years, 100 years. Well, I mean, we can't figure out 100 years.
So can I vent about recycling just a little bit?
Go ahead.
And I'm not mad at people for recycling. I think it's great. But I will tell you, go and do some investigation, because everything you think's being recycled is absolutely not. And if that offends you and makes you upset, then you don't like the truth, because I have done a little research on this. Okay. And it's because there's no profit in it. Recycling has to be profitable, or else it will not function. That's just the way this world flows. But on the recycling issue, I have a beef. Why is it they don't want us to use plastic grocery bags at a grocery store or wherever, hardware store, wherever we go? They have the little small, you know, handheld, two handles plastic bag. But yet when you go in there, because it's a plastic bag,
plastic.
the bread's in plastic, the bologna's in plastic. It's like your salad's in plastic, and it's like, I don't believe you're addressing
water
the
is
issue.
in plastic.
It's like it's you know, I think we get really.
But that's Democrats for you.
We really get distracted on what matters, you know, and I get it, but I don't think that's a fix. And I see people with that, and they think it is, but I think we come together, we get information. I appreciate you being willing to come on the radio, because I'm going to tell you, Travis, there's a lot of people that just, it unnerves them to come in here and actually speak publicly about what's going on. We do it. We go out there. If we make someone mad, I'm not trying to make someone mad. I go out there and see what we really see, and then we bring it back here and we talk about it. But we really want to get the county commissioners more involved here to get the community more. Just like Lawrence was saying, someone came up to him and said, my rate's already doubled before it had actually doubled. You coming on here, this sets the record straight.
Yeah.
And
we do need to set the record straight, because we've had a question come in. And I guess they did not understand, but they were under the impression we were talking about putting a lien on the property, even though the person living there doesn't own it. And you need to clarify that, because
I don't think it's going to come anyway, because it's not going to solve any problem.
That's correct.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you know, if you're out there and you're a property owner and you got renters that are not paying their solid waste bill,
you're not going to be affected.
I mean, it's not going to work, so we're not going to do it.
Right.
You know?
Well, I just wanted to clear that up, because it came in and it was text.
And I want to say this to people, really. If you're not paying your solid waste bill, somebody's paying it for you.
Yep.
And if you're a conservative person that you don't like the redistribution of wealth, you have a responsibility to make sure your trash gets out of the county.
Absolutely.
And I'll say, as a guy who works several jobs just like you do, we're not getting paid to do this tonight. Okay, this is free. I could be hanging out with the kids or doing anything, but I'm not just out here trying. It's important for us to get our trash exported out of our county and to make sure our waterways are clean, that our rivers and streams are clean. You know, I think it's worth $102 per resident here. You know,
even if your trash is not
per family.
I'm sorry, misspoke.
Yeah, I mean, to me, go and not put away your trash for a month and see what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, I mean, see what that looks like, and knowing that when you are having, it's being picked up for you, whether you're taking it to the dump yourself, know this, that it's still getting out of Lawrence County.
And what that pays for, and I've had people really confused on this.
Yeah, I was just about to clarify.
Well, I'll let you do it if you want to.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's two things I want to clarify.
Yeah, do it.
For one, there's some arguments I've been saying. Listen, for one, the county commission had nothing to do with the Amish lane. Let me say that again.
Right.
The county commission had nothing to do with the Amish lane. That $5-6 million, whatever. We didn't vote on it. We didn't know about it. We didn't put no money in it. Whatever. Two, there's several people saying, "Oh, I don't even use solid waste." I have a contractor come pick mine up. Well, you're still using solid waste. What you're paying that contractor for, is to take your trash from your house to our transfer station. Right. Your trash still has to go to the hole in Mississippi.
Right.
That's what your solid waste is. So, yes.
Pays for transport from Lawrence County to Mississippi.
Absolutely. And some people say, "Oh, I burn my trash," which I don't know if you legally can or not, whatever. But the chances of you never coming in town and throwing a drink away in a trash can or eating at a restaurant.
Absolutely.
Everybody's using that transfer station at some point.
Absolutely.
And then also, listen, if that was the case where somebody never did, how do you govern that? How do you know if they're not? It's a nightmare. There's so many different.
Well, if you didn't charge those people, then everyone would start trying to burn their trash.
Yeah, I know.
So you create it. You just incentivize people to do that.
Absolutely. But it's a not necessarily a nightmare scenario. Some of these things can be fixed. It's just some people ain't gonna like it no matter what. Some people ain't gonna like it no matter what. But I think there's enough good commissioners in there that's ready to fix some of these things, whether it's really popular or not, and it needed to be done. So.
Well, I tell you this, we talk, me and Brandon are all over the state, dealing with different political issues, and we always talk about our county, and we always talk about our leaders that are in our county. And just about every single person goes, "Man, I would love to live in your county." As a matter of fact, we got people that we know that are in other counties, and he's going to be listening to this. I'm not going to bring his name up, and it's not just him. But we have people that are that live in other counties in Tennessee, and they're like, "Man, I want to move to Lawrence County just because of how you guys talk about your county."
Yeah. Well, if they do, I sell real estate. So.
Well, hey, I didn't know that. There we go.
Speaking of that, I got to give you a chat.
Give us a little bit on your real estate. What is your, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I got into it a few years ago, just one of the local brokers in town. I guess I can give this segment because I ain't going to start advertising on here. I got a check for y'all, by the way.
You got 4 minutes. Let's go.
But anyway, one of the local brokers hit me up. He said, "Dude, you know everybody around here." He said, "You ever thought about selling real estate?" Now, at this point in time, I was working my family's business. I was moving gun safes. I had a washing business. I think I had a flooring store at the time. I said, "Absolutely not."
We got a lot of free time.
Yeah, and he said, "Did you need to really think about it because you know so many people?" And I said, "What does it cost to get started?" So, well, the classes and everything, it's this amount of money before you actually get your license. You got to do this much of classes and stuff. I said, "Man, I've wasted more money on other things. I said, if it don't work out, whatever, and I'll give it a shot."
Yeah.
So I did it, and I absolutely love it.
Really?
The brokerage that I work for, we kind of focus on country lifestyle. It's United Country here in town. And
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Those guys, you guys are hilarious.
Yeah, they're country. I mean, it's just a bunch of country boys.
Hey, I got to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you on this, but you guys at the fair were right next to the Democratic Party. And
they're fair.
We'll just say we believe in God, family, guns, and country.
And you made sure that was on their side of where they were at. And you guys put that out there. I loved it, so I'm sorry.
No, there's a bunch of good old boys in there, and but hey, we're pretty good at what we do. We sell real estate, and we take care of people. Whether it's going the extra mile, and you wouldn't think, what's the extra mile, but there is a lot of extra miles in real estate that can be run, and we're willing to run it. But so.
Well, you know what? I want to encourage people, if you are a Christian conservative individual in this county, do business with other Christian conservative individuals.
Absolutely.
We've gone around and talked to other people if they wanted to kind of get in and maybe help pay for this show and fund it. Mm-hmm. And I've had businesses that are really on the fence. They're like, I don't know if I want to do it because, it may cost me some business. And I told several of them, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I promise you, there's more conservatives right now looking for businesses to support than there are liberals. Yeah. And they're looking for opportunities places to put their money because people that are like me, and I know who you are, I mean, guess what? I know some people, and I'm going to be handing your phone number off to some folks.
We are. They may be calling
gonna
you
get some
anyway
business
because
over
they're going to
this
hear
show.
this show.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage you, if you're a conservative individual, you need to get involved with the Republican Party. If you're a conservative business owner, you need to get involved with the Republican Party here in the county. If you own property, guess what? They want to raise your tax. There are people out there in this community, and I've heard it myself. And if you want to challenge me on it, we'll get them on the radio and we'll talk about it because I've been there. They want to raise your taxes. It matters. You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. And we've got good elected officials here. It's hard work. People don't say thank you enough. Number one, thank you for being a husband, a father, a man of God. Thank you for serving your country. We appreciate you more than you know.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Lawrence, you'll take us out of here?
Yeah, I'll try to take us out of here. I will say this, when it comes to a lot of people, they're so afraid to offend. Mm-hmm. And I just don't have that.
You don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, they're.
Would have never guessed that.
No,
I'm starting to see it's a Florida thing. I got Miami and Orlando right here in front of me.
And if you can't see Travis, he's wearing an orange shirt, so I guarantee you that's where this is coming from LGBT. But anyway, I'm going to say this. If you are afraid to offend, then you're not wanting to give and put out the truth. And Jesus even said that people will hate you anyway, but know this, they hated me first.
Yep.
But if you stand for the truth and you stand for what's right, I like this saying, I would rather scare you into heaven than to flatter you into hell.
Amen.
By telling you the truth.
Amen. Like this video, share it, subscribe, send it out to somebody. Send it to your favorite liberal. They'll thank you for it later. If you don't like it, you will. You'll learn to. Just keep listening.
That's right. And I'm going to say this. God bless our United States. God bless Tennessee. And God bless Lawrence County. Take us out of here,
Amen.
Laura.